What's up, everyone? I'm DREADPOOL, and I am here with Trevor and Nadeau for Breaking Bread with Dread number 41.
Yeah.
We're here at Johnny's Italian Restaurants. And
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I was going to say, there's some secrets that we got that we're going to talk about this place too, so stay tuned about
for
this.
sure.
So thank you for doing this. It's been 2 years in the making.
Yeah, I remember we met at Sunscreen 2024, April. You were interviewing Kevin Rigo's one of his actresses on the second floor. And I remember I saw her there, and after you guys had an interview with her, I remember I talked to her, and she recognized me, and I recognized her because she was supposed to be in Sliced back in the year before that, and things fell through. And I told that Kevin was helping me out with the movie and everything, and she thought it was very cool. But I haven't talked to her ever since. But I know Kevin thinks she's like the best. But I know, that's basically how we both met. Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of cross paths every so often. Sometimes it's out of sight, out of mind. It's never a whatever type deal. Sometimes some people are like that, but not everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we still were able to keep in touch and
For sure,
to
man.
make this happen.
I'm glad because I really wanted to do this podcast with you, man. I know I'm glad it took 2 years, but it was worth the wait.
Yeah,
It really was.
the last 6 months was very hectic on making it happen. We pressed so hard to do this, so it's good. It's finally come into fruition. And you also you've had some history with movies. You're a director, a producer. You've done some other.
I direct, produce whatever I can get my hands on. I like networking, meeting with other filmmakers. That's what I enjoy the most is the networking part. And I love movies. Movies are a big passion of mine. And I learned a lot working on this for 10 years as a hobby. That's the one thing I can tell you is that as a hobby, this has been very eye-opening with the people I've been interacting with. And I've, ran into some horror stories with some people, and I ran into a lot of success stories. But, the one thing I learned recently is that I'm not much of a producer. Yeah, I can go out there, I can look for people, I can vet them, I can bring them on the project, I can negotiate the rates and everything like that. But when it comes to scheduling and bringing everyone together, I fall flat on. And it wasn't thankfully, last year I met David Siracusa, and he's a partner of Kevin Rigo, who owns K75 Stunt Academy. They run the place up in Clearwater, and I remember that year when you and I met David there that same weekend for the first time, and he invited me out to K75, and I went there for one day because Kevin gave me like a pass to go up there, and I did, and it was fun. Got to meet David some more. David showed up for a little bit. Got to meet some of the people that were working on some of the stunts. Unfortunately for me, I was much heavier back then, so it was like kind of hard for me to do what I could do. And it was a lot of work, bringing everything I could. But yeah, we know we got pizza here.
So we just got our pizza, and we did order Meat Lovers. And
so the pizza.
There you go. Look at that for the 360 guys. Look at that for you Pocket 3 guys.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. We'll let that cool down a little bit. That is nice and toasty. Like I said, my fingers are. I grew up in a restaurant, so working, my fingers don't feel the heat as much. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, one thing with my dad's restaurant is they love his pizza, and also the Johnny bread. That's one thing I can tell you. The pizza and the Johnny bread, they always go crazy for. And some people love my dad's lasagna. They go crazy for the lasagna.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, lasagna is very good here. Some of my neighbors used to ask me, "How's your dad's lasagna, man? I love your dad's lasagna." It's like, I love going there for lasagna. Me, I like lasagna. I just don't. It's cool and everything. I'm more of a calzone kind of guy, pizza kind of guy. Chicken wings. Can't go wrong with some good chicken wings.
Yeah.
I love chicken wings. And my dad's chicken wings are pretty good too. And the boneless wings as well.
He knows me well enough. Chicken wings and the beer don't mix well, so we kind of have to, do the boneless.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier and a lot less messier.
Yeah. But anyways, as I was saying about David Siracusa, he and I really didn't get really well acquainted until we worked on Love at the Diner last year. And how that came through was late 2024. They were putting a Cookie Race put out a casting notice for actors that David was working on, and he was starring in it, and he also wrote it. And Cookie was directing it and helping co-produce it, I believe. And they were looking for location at a restaurant. So I said to David, I was like, hey man, I was like, you need to use a location. You can use my dad's place. He's open with letting people shoot in there. And he said, sure. And he said, let me know. And then a couple of days later, he sends me a message on Facebook saying, hey man, he was like, I got to take up an offer. He was like, the places we went to wouldn't accommodate what we needed because it would cost a lot of money. And I said, sure, no problem. And I talked to my dad's then manager, who's now his partner, Howie, and his wife, and they secured a deal to get permission to shoot in this very room. So the only difference is, compared to previous productions, this is the only one and only production where it was shot during business hours, because they had to make it accommodate for that. I tried asking them if they can set tonight or whatever, or like towards the end of the night. No, they wanted during the day, and I accommodated it.
Yeah, it's very hard because with small businesses, that's a big chunk of money missing out on a whole day.
Yeah.
And then you got your employees you got to think of. So yeah, there's a lot behind it.
Yeah,
so it's cool that they were able to make it happen.
Yeah. The other businesses don't have that they went to don't have a private dining room, so they said they'll have to close the restaurant down. They'll have to charge a lot of money, and for a short film, it's not really worth it for that kind of hassle.
Yeah.
So I pulled my weight and I did what I could and gave David a really good deal, and they took it, and they paid for location, and they got all kinds of crew out here. And oh boy, what I had to do. I remembered that Friday before the first night of shooting. It was Super Bowl weekend last year when it happened. And I literally slept in the restaurant on the dining room floor, because by the time I was done with work and I had to get home and get cleaned up and go to bed and get back over here, it just wouldn't have been worth it. So I literally crashed out in the dining room, and woke up. My back was aching and everything. And I basically watched after the whole entire production from, say, 7 o'clock in the morning all the way till like 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. Wow. And I took a lot of shrapnel too. Like I took a lot for that. And David appreciated it. And doing that, he agreed to play the part of the father in the movie that you saw, and as well also end up playing the monster version of the father, because the script went through a lot of changes, but the one we went through is the one you saw, and he ended up playing dual roles, and he did a great job. And he also ended up producing it because he saw that me running the show as a producer was not working, and he wanted to do it. And fast forward to now, he and I have a good working relationship. He's going to help me produce my next movie, which is going to hopefully be done before June of this year. And he said, when it's time for me to make a feature film, he'll help me put that together too, because he's a great guy, and I love working with him, and he can make it happen.
So how many movies have you made so far?
6 now.
6, and they're all 10 minutes and under, right?
That's the golden thing. My buddy Patrick Galuski said to me a long time ago when I first met him back in 2014 that anything longer than 10 minutes, you're possibly wasting your efforts, because if people are not going to watch a 5-minute movie, why are they going to watch more than that? You know what I mean? So now I learned that 7 is the cutoff. A little more than that, that's kind of stretching it, And only a few people I know in this area, this field, actually go beyond that. And
with TikTok and the attention span, gone are the days. Well, I'm sure they'll still be around, but the 4-hour movies. So.
I feel as a film person, as a film fan, not many movies qualify being 3 hours. Only a few.
Yeah.
And my selection of movies that I think are worth watching for that length was like Titanic. But then again, I'm a huge James Cameron fan. He's like my all-time favorite director. People usually joke at me saying I want James Cameron's babies because I put him on such a pedestal, like up here, like as a filmmaker.
Right.
Oh, I think he's a genius. And I definitely admire his work ethic and the way he makes movies. But his newest Avatar film, I didn't like it. And a lot of people were surprised when I said that to them.
At least you can be honest. You could still be a huge fan of somebody and then turn around and be able to say, not a fan of, whatever works,
Well, the problem
even though I'm a fan of the person.
The problem with the sequels to Avatar is, like, the first one, it wasn't even about the story, it was about the visual effects, 3D. And I still hold that movie to a pedestal. I think the first one's amazing. But the sequels, like, he tried to focus on Jake Sully's kids. They had it focused on the Colonel's son, Spider. They made a 16-year-old version of Sigourney Weaver, which was very weird watching that on screen. A 70-year-old woman pretending to be a 16-year-old girl. And in the third one, James Cameron doubled down on that and focused it more on Spider and Sigourney Weaver's character. So, like, I went to see it in IMAX 3D. My father and I went to see it with some of his friends. And visually, it was phenomenal. The visual effects, amazing. 3D, spectacular. Everything in that part was just wow. But the story was just not good. And, yeah, I mean, I'm a sucker for 3D. I love a good 3D movie. So, like, that's the reason why I was, like, sticking with it. But the characters were not that great. And I think James Cameron can do a lot better than with that. But most of the time when he makes a 3-hour movie, I sit through like Titanic all the time. Like, I love watching that movie. Excellent.
I watched the Zack Snyder's cut for
Justice League. That was good. Rare exception.
That was really good. But I did get to a point of, like, how long is this movie? How much did he add? I know he added a lot, but I completely forgot how much was added on to the original film that they ended up cutting out all this stuff.
Well, they had that movement, the Snyder Cut movement on social media for, like, what, 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah.
And usually when those movements go on, they usually don't go anywhere. But when HBO Max was announced and they said they were going to put the Snyder Cut out there, they invested like $100 million into that.
I dismissed the movement. I was like, people are talking.
I agree.
And next thing you know, it's like, no, HBO picked it up. It's happening.
Yeah, I was like, really? Huh.
Okay. And I literally just got HBO Max because I like do one for like a certain, like a year or so, and then I'll move on to the next one. And it was HBO
When
Max.
HBO Max first came out, I subscribed it for a year because the prices were very fair. Now you wouldn't catch me dead subscribing to those prices.
They had $2.99.
Yeah, like.
So I was like, $2.99 for a year?
Yeah.
Lock me in.
So when I did it for a year and Zack Snyder's Justice League came out, I literally waited till it dropped that morning, and I watched it all the way through the day it first dropped on HBO Max, and I was like, wow, this was a really good movie. I have a love-hate relationship with Zack Snyder. Like, I love 300. I really like Watchmen, and Man of Steel. I like that a lot. But Batman vs Superman and all that was like,
yeah, the Batman vs Superman was a little bit rocky.
It was.
So, but yeah, back to you though.
Yeah.
Now, you've directed how many movies so far?
6.
6 movies.
Yeah.
And all 6 are under your name?
Under my name.
As a director. And you've also done, what else? Producing all 6 or just?
All 6.
All 6 also.
Yeah. So, I get help when I can. But as I said, I learned when it comes to producing movies that, there's some parts I just can't do, and but
that comes with delegation. So if you figured out where your weakness is, and now you've worked to improve the weakness, which is great, and if it's not you doing it, you found somebody else that'll do it for you. So that's good.
Well, I know I met in the beginning of my journey, I met Scott Sullivan through my buddy Patrick Galuski, and when I met Scott was because I had a really bad work relationship with this filmmaker that was trying to help me make my first short film. And he kept on trying to nickel and dime me. So after months of this going on, Patrick messaged me on Facebook or something. I remember it was Facebook or text message. And he was like, dude, I know someone that can help you. And I was like, really? He was like, yeah. And he pulled his weight, talked to his buddy Dominic Smith, who's another great guy. And Dominic put Patrick through Scott Sullivan, and Scott Sullivan talked to Patrick, and then Sullivan talked to me, and we hit it off. And the funny thing was, in 2015, when I was leading up to making my first short film, Scott was at that time writing and directing movies, short films in Tampa. And I remembered the first one he did was called Interdimensional, I believe. He shot in St. Pete. And that was the first time he and I got acquainted face to face. It was great. He had a Red One camera. He had Chris Plord out there helping out, played one of the actors. He was in Encounters, Chris Plord.
Okay.
Wonderful actor, great guy. He was in it. That's the first time I ever met him face to face. And I remembered after we met later that week, I remember I reached out to Chris and let him know about my movie. And I said, that's Scott Sullivan shooting. And he was like, Scott Sullivan shooting a movie? He was like, okay, count me in. And then rest is history with that. You know, Chris and Scott, great people. And
so that got you into the first movie. What got you into thinking, hey, let me make my own movie? What got you to there first?
What got me there first? I was 11 years old. I was watching Aliens on Blu-ray, or no, DVD. That was DVD back then. And it was DVD. Yeah, got the DVD set, and I realized after watching the Aliens DVD stuff and watching Aliens so much that I realized my love for film was in that. And this is before I knew James Cameron made Aliens. Yeah. You know, so I didn't learn until later on. And then that's when I became drastically a big James Cameron fan. Okay. You know, I didn't know he directed Aliens and Terminator 2 and Titanic and all that. But yes. And growing up, my dad always thought it was very unrealistic of me. But, you know, I was little and I was young and I was naive. But now I realize when it comes to art, it's not a guarantee. But I love it. You know, and Steven Spielberg, you know, he did that movie, The Fabelmans, which is about his life. I'm not sure if you've ever seen it, but if you haven't, watch it. It's great. It's basically an autobiography of Steven Spielberg's life as a kid. Okay. Growing up as a Jewish kid, 1955, he watched Cecil B. DeMille's Greatest Show on Earth in a movie theater. He was like 8 when he did it, and that's what started his journey. The only difference with him, though, is that at that age, he was able to acquire a camera, and he started shooting. So that's why when he did Jaws, he was like 26 years old, because he had all that knowledge from back when he was 8. Yeah. I didn't really have that kind of, you know, knowledge, like that acquirement, you know. I know my dad did give me a camcorder when I was like 12, but it wasn't really that great. It wasn't. I mean, I did shoot with it, but I didn't have any means to edit with it. So I remember I did shoot with it because I used to have a giant iguana. I used to take video of it and everything, walk around the house and stuff like that. But I didn't really have a computer or anything to edit the footage with to splice it all together. So yeah.
Nice. So out of the 6 films, what have you learned that you think from the previous ones that helped throughout the 6 films, like to garner a better film or viewpoints as a director a producer?
When I did The Entity, I wrote it and directed it and produced it, and I was very stubborn back then. I'm still stubborn when it comes to making movies, but a lot more stubborn. And I learned I'm not a writer. I'm not a writer. So ever since I did that movie, never have I put in my own scripts into production. I learned that, you know, make connections with people who are way better at the craft than I am. Now, I can come up with stories, I can come up with things like that. I guess I compare myself to how George Lucas does it. You know, he creates worlds and everything, but he's just not a writer. You know, like George Lucas made Star Wars, but, you know, you watch the prequels, you're like, wow, these are not good. And that's right, because he's not a writer. You know, he creates worlds and he creates characters, but when it comes to developing them and everything, he falls flat. I mean, that's the prequels are bad. They're fun to watch, but nothing like the originals. You know, the originals where it's at.
Originals are the way to go.
Oh, yes. The New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Oh, yes, all the way. The sequel trilogy, I try to pretend those don't exist. You know?
Although we got Mandalorian.
Mandalorian's good. And I always say to people, when I watch the sequel trilogy, I have them on Blu-ray 3D at home, and I usually just watch them in 3D. I can't watch them in 2D. The way to watch them, those movies, is to watch it in 3D. It's just the best way to see it, because it's just they're not great. They're okay. They're exceptional, you know.
All right, the smell of the pizza is getting me going. So we're going to take a quick break so we can get some plates, and then we'll come back and we'll let you guys know how well it tastes and all that fun stuff, because that's what these listeners listen to. They want to know the flavors of the food and all that. And yes, I did get a water. It's lying inside here with my water. Don't worry, anybody.
So yeah, we're gonna have some pizza and then get back at it afterwards.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah. All right, so we're back, I know it's not normal that I cut, but sometimes we gotta cut these things for time sensitivity to you. But oh my god, which we'll do with this camera first. Look at that crust down there, and just the crispiness. I don't know if you can hear it on this mic, but it's got a good crispiness to it. Now when you, I haven't even folded it yet. Look at that. You see that? Not even a full fold, and it's holding itself. I'm loving this already. I haven't even taken a bite yet. And Trevor's almost done with his first slice.
I'm hungry. I've been eating all day.
Oh yeah. That's good.
You like it?
Yeah.
I'm glad you do.
First bite.
So you know, about Scott Sullivan is the crazy thing is that when I went to his second production in 2015, he was at a decommissioned merchant marine ship, and he did a movie called Salvage, which I can send you the link to. It's on YouTube. I can send it to it. I helped him out with that movie, and I learned a lot from that production. One thing I learned is do not underestimate the Florida heat, because inside the ship it was hot as can be.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I almost had heat stroke. It was that bad. But that's before I used to drink. Now I religiously drink water, like almost every day, a gallon, especially during the summer, maybe a gallon and a half, because the heat, you cannot underestimate that. And I learned that the very long and hard way. So, you know, doing that, you know, that one thing I learned, and also I learned that Scott is a big fan of my dad's restaurant, because the first day, there was no crafty. He said for people to bring their own stuff. And I noticed that some people were not happy that there was no food. And the first day...
Now you called it crafty?
Yeah, they call it crafty.
And crafty is what, food service?
Yeah. There was nothing being supplied. Everyone had to bring their own food and also their own water. So I remembered after that day, Patrick brought me to that production, Patrick Aluski, and he was doing BTS for the shoot, and was getting all kinds of footage. Because Scott...
And BTS, by the way, is behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
I know you're just keep talking the way you are.
Okay.
That's fine. I love hearing the acronyms and all that everybody uses, and then also kind of educate our listeners too, to when they see stuff like that and hear stuff.
Well, the thing was Patrick was at that time was doing behind the scenes stuff for people's productions, and when I met Scott and I got good with each other, I invited Patrick out. We both agreed to go up there. We all the way down to Channelside and Ybor, and we went to the decommissioned ship both days. And I remembered, was it the first day or the second day? No, the first day. I remember I told Scott about me possibly getting my dad food out there. And when I told my dad it was Johnny's, he was like, "Your dad was Johnny's?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Man," I was like, back in the day when we went to Countryside High School. Me and my boys used to go up there after doing karate in the dojo where Publix is, Publix is. And I was like, "Oh, really?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "We still that Johnny bread and everything." And I was like, "Small world." So, it was cool finding out they also went to the same high school that I went to. You know, he graduated back in 2004, 2005 or something like that. I graduated in 2007. But, yeah, it was cool that we went to the same school and everything, and small world. So, you know, fast forward, I ended up catering to another production that he was involved with Dominic Smith. It was a movie called Reset, which was about time travel. Very good movie. Dominic put a lot of work into it, and Scott shot it for him he rented out a nice big giant red camera. I remember my dad and I went up there to help out with catering, and he was very, very fortunate because Dominic was like spending a lot of money on that movie.
Okay.
If I can, I'll send you the short film link for that one too, so you can see what it's all about. Very good, well done film. Dominic, you know, he's a very well-known editor in the area. Very good at what he does. Scott Sullivan, great cinematographer, an amazing colorist. And
just let me interrupt here. And the red camera is a type of camera. It's called red. So it's not literally red in color. It's red, the name.
Yeah.
So just so you guys are still, it's nice to know that somebody knows something, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, just stick with us on this one.
Yeah, for sure.
Red cameras are good.
They are good.
But they're not the greatest, but they are good.
They are good. It's just I feel like for short films, it's a little bit too much because it comes with a lot of unnecessary things that you need to have with it or want to have with it.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came to Scott, you know, when he shot The Entity for me, he was the one that operated the Red 1 camera. He brought his a friend along who was a former roommate of his in college that helped out with that night. It was a one-night shoot. Mm-hmm. And his buddy helped him out with a lot of the scenes and everything for the camera and all that. But that thing sucked up a lot of memory fast. And at that time, I didn't know anything about how cameras work. So like the day when Scott came to my dad's house at the time, his 2-story house he had, I didn't know we needed an external hard drive. And I didn't have one at the moment. Scott did it. And my dad had to make an emergency trip to Walmart. Get a 1 terabyte. And this is when Walmart was open 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore. They don't, post-COVID. Not anymore, but my dad did me a favor with that, and I saw firsthand, like, those things go like that.
Yeah, well, you're talking about the size of the footage, like the 360 is recording in 8K, so that takes up a lot of space. You know, granted, it's nowhere near the quality of real cameras before it is, and what it does, it's good. You know, that's 4K right there. So again, memory has gotten cheaper, smaller, faster. Back then, you're talking about a 1 terabyte hard drive. That was a pretty penny.
Oh yeah, you know, but you know, seeing how much it takes up was just insane. But you know, Scott had a good hustle at that time. You know, he bought this really nice Red 1 camera and was doing a lot of work with it, and he got a lot of work and made his way up the ladder. And
Mm-hmm.
I was very fortunate to be friends with him and befriend him at that time, because as time went on, he ended up shooting other stuff for me. I know he shot my second short film in 2016, The Skinwalker, and he used the Sony A7S Mark II with that, because at that time I still didn't know many people, and considering the area I was shooting it at, it would have been hard to shoot with the red. So he rented out A7S II, and that was where my love for Sony cameras began, was with that experience.
I was going to ask you what's your favorite camera. I guess now I know.
Yep. It all started with Skinwalker, A7S II, and I learned a lot from that. And, you know, I feel like from my experience being a director, it's best to know what everything works, because that was an eye-opening experience for me. And one thing that Scott noticed, because he used to be a former teacher before he became a full-time filmmaker. He taught at high schools and stuff, and I think he was also a principal or something at a school. But he had a degree in teaching, master's, and he used that to help me out and get me what I needed to know in terms of experience. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it was great. And I remember after we shot those 2 days, he texted me and said that I should really learn the basics of cameras. And I was like, okay. And he recommended at that time get the Sony A7S Mark II. But when my dad made a deal with me that if I were to get my GED, he would get me a camera. But little did I know it would take me a couple extra years to get it. But when I did, he got me the Sony A7 III. And I remember shortly after I got it, COVID happened. And when we were on lockdown and everything, I remembered I subscribed to YouTube Premium. And I literally was in my room on my TV watching all the ins and outs of how cameras work. And I remember I was like picking pictures of the notes I took to send to Scott. And being the former teacher that he is, he told me like if I was on the right track or not. And you know, he guided me in the right direction. So did Patrick. You know, Patrick Aluski also knows about cameras too. And I remember I was showing him what I learned, and he was pretty impressed, you know, because you know, Patrick in particular thought I wouldn't be able to at least know much about cameras because it's complicated.
Yeah.
But fast forward to now, like I'm no cinematographer, but I know the basics on how to do camera stuff, and I'm still learning. You know, like last year, March of last year, I started using the camera to shoot and edit things and put them together. And the one thing I learned was like using an ND filter on the lens. So when you're shooting outside, You don't have to worry about messing with the features too much, and that's what I ended up getting down the line was an ND filter. And now I don't have to worry about shooting outside. Just put it on there, it's like a sunglass, and there you go. You know.
Yeah, I'm getting to that point too. I haven't messed with ND filters yet, but I've been noticing a lot of, even with the Pocket 3, the drones that we have, because we have DJI drones, everybody's getting an NDI filter. And it's like, okay, so you start, as you progress, you start, learning from other people and YouTube, it's like networking. And it's awesome to see that you can surprise people from what you've taught yourself on these things, and even referencing, hey, am I on the right track with this? Am I on the right thought wave? The pattern of how this works, or the reasons why. And it's nice to see that, the information's out there. You just got to find it, and you got to have the right people to bounce off of. And,
100%.
Especially when you're self-taught. So that's cool. I'm self-taught on a lot of things, and camera work is not one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's impressive to the stuff that camera guys can do and know. F-stop. I get the basics, but I don't have enough time or knowledge to be able to say, oh yeah, well, I need to lower this for this. I need to do that for that. I rely on the equipment more.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see that you can rely on the equipment, but your knowledge to manipulate the equipment to work easier. And it's cool that you've done that. Is there anything else? Is it just mainly focused on camera work? Or camera
basically,
gear?
when Scott saw me working on Skinwalker, he noticed that I need no more than what I did at that time. And fast forward to now, I think he kind of created a monster because now, when it comes to me putting the movie together, I like to know what camera's being used, what lenses are going to be used, and things like that. Before that, I didn't even know, how it is. But I learned, from Scott and even Patrick as well, that being a director, it's always good to know what you're working with. There's directors out there, like Quentin Tarantino and all that, who don't know what camera's using because they like to shoot on film. But it's Quentin Tarantino, but he focuses on story.
Yeah.
I like to focus on the technical aspects as well as the story aspect if I can.
Okay. I think it's all important, and however you work it is the way that it turns, makes it work.
Yeah.
So it's not, like you said, Tarantino likes film. He knows how to make the film portion of it work. He doesn't have to worry about this other stuff because, again, he's got other people underneath him that's going to worry about the splicing and all the other stuff. He still has his hand in it as well.
Well, Tarantino's a different beast. He didn't go to film school. His film school was going to a video store he was working on in California, Los Angeles, I believe. And then on the time off, he'll go to a diner and start, writing stuff when he's in between doing all that. But he rented videotapes and studied them, and that's what I do. Except I don't rent movies; I buy them. I like buying physical media because I don't like digital distribution. I don't care for it. The only thing I ever look at on my TV is YouTube Premium, and that's it because I like user-created content. But never on Netflix, really. Never on Amazon Prime. Never look at it because I just don't care for it. I feel like after COVID, digital distribution has gotten very malicious with their prices and stuff. So I always buy discs, and when I show people my collection, I'm like, man. I was like, you just don't stream them? I'm like, no, I don't stream them because I want to own it. You own it, it's yours.
You also have a better quality when it comes to the disc.
Yep.
What's on the disc is so much better than the streaming.
Oh, yeah.
Granted, a lot of houses now have a better streaming download speeds and this and that, so you could get better than what you were getting before, but it's never going to be the same. It's just like vinyl versus CD. Yes, vinyl's going to have the smoothness, but the CD's getting to a point where even your jaggies going up and down are so fine and minute that most pristine ears to listen to the audio almost can't tell. You know what I mean? It's like you got to be a snooty snoot to be able to tell between a vinyl or a CD.
I just kind of, I'm I'm probably gonna sound like a dick for saying this, but I kind of laugh when people tell me, "Oh, well, you know, I have 4K on Netflix," and I'm like, "No, you don't. It's not real 4K because I tried telling them this is when the nerd in me comes out because I did my research on it. You can't stream 4K. You can't. So companies like Disney and Netflix are always and so forth are saying you get the 4K package. There's no 4K. You can't stream 4K. You have to, in order to stream 4K, you need a really, really good good internet service. And I don't think that even exists. So like when you're watching a movie on Netflix that's 4K, you're not getting a true 4K picture. You're getting something maybe close to 4K, but you're not getting a true 4K. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing that people are misled by when they subscribe to Netflix or Disney Plus is that. You know, it's just silly because, you know, you just can't. You can't get to that kind of quality.
But even then, any hiccups, you get buffering. You know, if you and most people are getting the cheapest service anyway. You know, I've got 2G up and down. No biggie. But still, I like discs better. I like that.
I remember in 2023, a movie that Netflix put out there, won big at the Academy Awards that year. It's called All Quiet on the Western Front. And before it got Academy Award recognition, I thought it was just a knockoff of 1917 because it was shortly after that movie came out that other movies and video game companies and studios were trying to capitalize on it with like Battlefield 1 and Believe and all that stuff like that. So I was like, okay, so it's a movie that's cashing in on 1917. I was like, pass. But then when it came with the Academy Awards, they got nominated and it won. So I was like, okay. But then I found it was a remake of another remake that came out for a movie that came out in 1931 that was based on a book about someone's experience in World War I. Well, the point of me saying is like when it came out, Netflix put it on physical media because the movie went big. So I got the 4K disc. And I remember it was like night and day. The opening sequence compared to it on streaming was like, wow, on 4K disc, the attention to detail, the clarity, you cannot get that on streaming. And I saw firsthand now a comparison to what a movie looks like on streaming to what it looks like on disc. And it's like, yeah, you can't compete with that.
Yeah, well, it's like the bit rates. When it comes to YouTube and upload, everybody does the basic 1080p, the low bit rate. I'm doing 8K with the highest bit rate that I can possible, and then I upload it. You know, so you're talking about more information, even though it's 8K or 4K. I've got more information that I'm putting in there, so the file sizes are all that bigger, and that's what we're pertaining to in the same scenario. The disc has more information, even though it might be 4K, but like you said, it's not true 4K. There's not enough information behind it to give you. Yeah, you're getting your screen size, but you're not getting that detailed information as you would with the disc. So little things that you learn along the way.
Yeah. Well, I remember the one big thing was when Disney Plus first came out, they were advertising the Star Wars movies being on Dolby Vision, and the big thing was at that time Disney didn't do a deal with Sony to put out discs, so they were basically releasing their 4K discs without Dolby Vision except for The Last Jedi. That movie had 4K Dolby Vision, and that was it. So they use that as a selling point to get subscriptions. Oh, you can watch Star Wars in Dolby Vision. Well, some people on YouTube have the software that can test the color gamut to see if it's an actual Dolby Vision signal. And they used episode 4, A New Hope, to test it with. And it didn't even come close to what Dolby Vision signal is supposed to be. And that was the big thing right there, was that kind of deception. You know, they're like saying, oh, well, you have Dolby Vision and everything. Well, no, it's not really. So point being is like, you know, you can't get a true 4K or even HDR signal. You can get close to it, but you're not going to get the actual one. And that's the biggest thing that these companies try to sell on people, so they can deceive them. You know, yeah.
So how big is your movie collection?
Oh, 500, I'll say, close to. A little more than that. I did an inventory earlier this year. This is before I got more movies, but yeah, I like collecting 4K discs, 3D Blu-rays. Yeah, so, you know.
Now, I don't know if we ever expressed this, but your films are mostly geared in horror.
Horror sci-fi, yeah.
Horror sci-fi, okay. Now, is that also your DVD collection mostly too, or is it
Yeah.
a combination?
Classic films. I mean, it varies. Whatever looks good, you know. I'll be buying more 3D Blu-rays, but apparently the media in the United States doesn't care for it too much. So now, like, if I want to get a 3D Blu-ray, I have to buy it from Japan on eBay, because I'm not going to go to Japan and buy it because it costs more money to do that. So, like for example, the Marvel movies, like the newest Doctor Strange and all that. If I want to get a 3D version, I have to go and import it in Japan, which just doesn't matter to me. I mean, like, but it's just a little extra money, so I have to make sure the movie's actually worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, would there be a Trevor film that's going to be in 3D also at one point in time?
I would hope so.
Is there? Yeah.
I would hope
So there's a dream there that it's there.
I would love to shoot a movie in 3D right now if I could, but the cost to get there is a lot. To put into context, Ridley Scott did Prometheus back in 2011 and shot it. Mm-hmm. And this is when the James Cameron 3D craze was still going on, and the producers were happy to get him back for Alien because he hasn't done in general. Ridley Scott at that time didn't do sci-fi for 30 years. Alien and Blade Runner and Legend were the last movies he did before he did dramas and stuff. So getting him back, they wanted to do 3D, and Ridley Scott said, "If we're going to do it in 3D, we're going to shoot it in 3D." And 20th Century Fox had no problem cashing out that check, putting that check out.
Nice.
So $12 million he paid for 3D equipment. And when Ridley Scott was promoting Prometheus, leading up to its release in 2012, he said that the experience of shooting it in 3D and doing post-production in 3D was amazing. Because the minute he was on set doing everything, it was all in 3D. The cinematography, all the way to post, was all in 3D. And he said it was great, but it was expensive. And I feel like not many directors qualify to do it. Maybe someone like Ridley Scott, James Cameron, Steven Spielberg, maybe even Peter Jackson. Yeah, because Peter Jackson, when he did the Hobbit trilogy, he shot those in 3D. That's the only good thing about those movies was that.
Well, he also did forced perspective too, so that's amazing.
Well, for the Hobbit, he actually did CGI. Ian McKellen, Sir Ian McKellen, when he was on the set, he was like bummed out.
I know
because,
he hated it
because of the green screen. Because he said the original ones, they were like on set and everything. They had to give him gifts and everything to make him feel better and everything. Because like he wasn't expecting that kind of work.
If I recall the stories, Patrick Stewart told him, "You made it so far, just stick with it." Because it was like halfway through, and he's like, "Just stick with it."
And I think he did, but I mean, I like the Hobbits. That's for the 3D movie. I mean, Smog in the second one was amazing. Like the way they did that. I saw the second one in IMAX 3D, just for seeing Smog, and I was like, man, it was so cool. But other than that, like, if I were to watch them, I have in my collection. I just put the 3D in and just watch the 3D.
Have you ever seen the AI? Because it wasn't AI at the time, but now everything's AI.
Unfortunately.
But have you ever seen video that they've taken with whatever computers to make the Force to 3D? And you're saying unfortunately already, so it means you've already seen it. And
I try to ignore all that 3D crap. I mean, AI. Because like, I was very outspoken about that this past year at Sunscreen when I was on a podcast over there. I don't think they liked when I said that I didn't like AI because like I just don't. I think it's silly, especially for professional productions. Like Blumhouse is getting in on it now, and other production. I'm like, why the F are you using AI when you have a budget and you have money? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. You have a budget.
I think part of it, and it sounds bad, but I think part of it is greed. I think some of them are looking at, if I don't have to pay these people, just kind of like the whole SAG, what was it called? They were having actors do a performance and a dance, and they weren't going to pay them anymore. They were just going to take it, and they had to like riot against that and step up and fight against. Well, you're not going to pay these guys royalties, and you're going to use their silhouette and then superimpose somebody else on there. And it's like, it didn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, like,
in this is again, it wasn't AI at that time, but it was into it, I try to tell people AI unfortunately has a bad rap. It's like NFTs. Mm-hmm. It's all good stuff, that people have taken, evil people, and have made it worse, and they've used it for bad. You know, so the images that they have that are out there, that they put different heads on different people's bodies. I mean, we were just talking about the Mandalorian, right?
Yeah.
And we had Luke Skywalker coming out. Wasn't Luke Skywalker, but guess what? Yeah. It was, according to what we looked at, because they took the face in
Mark
his,
Hamill?
Yep.
Yeah.
They took his face and they, from back then, superimposed it on the actor. I can't remember the actor's name right now, but he's the.
I believe they wanted Mark Hamill to play that part, but he said after his experience on the sequel trilogy, he didn't want to be in them anymore.
Yeah.
He did come on set to consult, I believe.
Yes, he was there.
Yeah.
The Winter Soldier, that guy.
I know you're talking about.
Yeah, he's the one that stood in and played.
Oh, really?
Right, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think that was my understanding.
I believe that's who they wanted, but they couldn't get him. Sebastian Stan.
Yes, Sebastian Stan. So they didn't get him. All right, so maybe I'm misinformed.
Me too. I could be. I mean, I wasn't really following The Mandalorian. I mean, I did like it. Like, that was only one of the very few things that Disney put out for Star Wars related that I actually enjoyed.
Yeah.
I still have yet to watch Andor.
Andor's good.
Andor season 1 and 2.
Good. Yes.
Well, apparently Dave Filoni didn't like Andor season 1 and 2 because now he's taking over Lucasfilm from Kathleen Kennedy.
And now we have George Jr. taking over.
I don't know. I mean, he said he didn't like Andor, and a lot of people did compared to other stuff they're putting out there.
Well, Andor's a lot better than the other ones.
Yeah, I mean, the Acolyte was $180 million of space witches. I'm like, I didn't even bother watching it, but
there are space witches, but not like that. And then on top of that, their space witches basically like castrated the whole Jedi lore of Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader and just all of Star Wars.
Well, apparently,
you just flipped it on its. You know, you just took the table and just said.
Yeah, apparently I don't. Maybe I'm stepping out of line here, but like when it comes to being Star Wars, I don't care about same-sex relationships. I don't care about any of that stuff. I just want spaceship battles, explosions, and Jedi duels. I don't care who was with who was with what.
It should be a good storyline.
Yes.
And that stuff, that's fine. It could be in there as a whatever, but it shouldn't be the focus.
I mean, even George Lucas
This should be the focus.
Yeah,
here's the plate. Here's my focus.
I agree.
I should not be focusing on an ice cube over that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's the way it should be.
Well, George Lucas said that he compared it selling his franchise to slavers. He said that.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him. I mean, as I said, the sequel trilogy was okay. Mandalorian is awesome. Book of Boba Fett was tolerable. Obi-Wan was fun.
Obi-Wan was definitely fun. It was cool to see a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Ahsoka was interesting.
I haven't seen that yet. I'm not sure if I want to.
It's not bad, which is why I call it interesting. I know some people had some issues. Some of those issues, come on, you're talking about a cartoon and then you're talking about a real life person. Yes, Ashley Erickson should have been the voice again, but
I never watched that show.
She never fit the role.
She's from Rebels, right? I never watched Rebels.
No, she was
Ahsoka was in Rebels.
Clone Wars.
Oh, she was? Oh, okay, yeah, you're right.
Clone Wars. Rebels was another one. That was the cel-shaded style.
Yeah, but wasn't Ahsoka in the Rebels as well?
No.
She wasn't? I thought she was. Oh, okay. I could swear she was in Rebels. Yeah, she fought Darth Vader. I didn't watch the whole show. I watched snippets. I have a friend, my friend Anthony, he's a big Star Wars fan.
Which one am I thinking? I'm thinking of the one that they're out on this little spaceport that was above an ocean and falling down into the ocean.
I think that's Rebels. Because that's where
she was in there too?
Admiral Thrawn was in there too.
Oh yes, that's Rebels. Yeah.
I never watched it, but I know my stuff because my friend Anthony.
I'm thinking of the other one.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. What was the other one? But yeah, that was Rebels. That was with Ezra.
Yeah.
She was in there towards the end.
Yeah, I have a friend who's a huge Star Wars fan, so he told me all about this story. I didn't have to watch it because like Rebels has so many seasons. I didn't want to get into it, but Admiral Thrawn was in Rebels, and then he came back in Ahsoka. I was told, and now doing season 2 of Ahsoka, and
For a second there, they were supposed to do a season 2 of Kenobi also, but it looks like it's on hiatus. maybe it's coming back now.
Well, I mean, it made no sense the way it ended. There's no way they could go back to it because he fought Darth Vader. So how many more times does he have to fight Darth Vader before they meet on the Death Star? So it should end with that. I mean, I understand they like working with each other, Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
But on a story standpoint, it wouldn't make any sense. That's just me. But yeah, as I was saying, though, I just think that Star Wars should just focus on that. No other stuff that they're doing in it, and that's what's running it. Like my friend, I think my friend Anthony watched Star Wars, The Acolyte, and he told me it was terrible and that they don't know. He didn't even know where the $180 million went because that did like a $180 million production. Like it looked like something lower than that, you know. But it's unfortunate because it was supposed to have Darth Plagueis in it, and I really wanted to see Darth Plagueis in the live action film.
I think they alluded to like a split second of a scene.
Yeah, at the very end.
Thanks. That's what we wanted.
I thought Snoke was Darth Plagueis the entire time.
I was wondering if he was a clone of Plagueis.
And I always busted my friend's balls about that, Anthony, because I always told him that Darth Plagueis was Snoke, and he kept on saying for years, Darth Plagueis is not Snoke. I was like, Snoke is not Darth Plagueis. And I was like, he is. I was like, it's been hinted. And then he gets diced up in the second one. And
Well, Count Dooku. Two different names.
Yeah.
So,
Count
you never
Dooku
know.
was cool. I respected, Sir, what's his name, the one that played Christopher Lee. You know, he did a great job. And the reason why he played Count Dooku is because he was friends with Peter Cushing. And I think Cushing enjoyed working on episode 4.
Okay.
And that's what got decades later to get onto episode 2. Because George Lucas personally asked him to play Count Dooku. He had no idea, like, anything going on with Star Wars. He just did it because I guess Cushing enjoyed working on that movie and was good word of mouth, you know. So I could be wrong, but I think that's how it came through. Was that right there was for him to be that character.
Did you know death metal came from Christopher Lee?
I heard about that. He was in a death metal band, wasn't he?
No, he did films, and a lot of those death metal bands were honoring the films that he was in.
Oh God, that's crazy.
So he started by being an actor in those older films that inspired all that. Cool stuff, right?
I never
never
would get
know.
mad when some people back in the day would interview him and they'll call him a horror icon. And he was like, I'm not a horror icon or something like that. And he would like correct them because I don't think he liked that. I mean, he was Dracula, but I don't think he liked it being referenced as that because he did many more movies than just that.
Well, I understand his point of view because he doesn't want to be labeled. You know, you don't want to be labeled as that guy because then you're always going to be that guy. But if you're an actor, you do it all. You know what I mean? If you're just a horror director, you're a horror director.
Well,
If you're just a director, you can do horror, you can do comedy, you can do it. The world is open.
Well, I can relate because Sigourney Weaver, every time I see her in a movie, I see her as Lieutenant Ellen Ripley in Alien and Aliens and other Alien films. And I really can't watch her in anything else other than Alien. You know, she made that character, so it's hers. It's like when James Earl Jones was alive, he was Darth Vader. Like, everyone recognized him as Darth Vader, including me. So, like, when we heard his voice when he was alive, we're like, that's Darth Vader. So, like, I can understand where it was. So I don't blame, when Christopher Lee was alive, I don't blame him for getting annoyed about that because he had so many movies on his plate.
Anytime you see anybody thrown on a table laying down because they're half dead and in pain and going out, you expect a little chest break.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How many references have you seen in movies that they do that with, you know? Speaking of, in your movies, do you do references and homages to other characters?
I try. Alien, pretty much.
Most of it is Alien?
Yeah. Even my buddy Patrick says that. I'm a huge Alien fan. And I always say if I had the resources and the capabilities to do it, I would make an Alien fan film. I would do it. But now with Disney in the helm, I'm not sure if it'd be as easy as it used to be with this Fox, because Disney is way more possessive than they are than Fox is, or was. So I don't know, but it's always my dream to work on an Alien and a Terminator product. I would love to do those both, maybe even Predator if I could. But now that Disney owns Predator and Alien, it'd be kind of hard to pull that off. Even Terminator. But yeah, like if I have the resources, I would do a fan film. Like if I do it right, good quality production, good effects, stuff like that. Oh yes.
Nice. That would be interesting to see.
It would be
something like that, and be like, hey, Cameron, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, he doesn't like the Alien franchise anymore.
No, I know, but
he was on the Michael Bain podcast, and I watched this. My friend Anthony showed me a snippet because he and I are big fans of the same stuff. He loves Alien as much as I do, but he loves Star Wars more than I love Star Wars. I love Star Wars, but he loves Star Wars, and also Lord of the Rings. But he showed me the interview with James Cameron had with Michael Bain. I have to watch the whole thing sometime. It's like a 2-hour thing, but James Cameron pretty much said in the snippet that he doesn't want to go back to Alien. And plus, when he said that he liked Alien Earth, that just made me cringe because I watched it all the way through when it was airing, and I did not like it. I mean, maybe 2 episodes were cool, I guess, but it just did not do it for me. It just didn't.
It's just funny how
back
then the ideals of aliens and different things in the world compared to now with what we can actually do with technology, where everything was special effects there, which was actual props and effects and different things, where here special effects is CGI and now it's AI and all that. So,
well, Alien, I gotta say, the one matters.
All right, sorry about that. We got the battery died on the 360, so we got a spare battery on there, charging / recording. So
we're talking about Alien Earth.
We're talking about Alien Earth,
and I said my disdain for it. Noah Hawley, I gotta say, I liked Fargo the first season because Billy Bob Thornton was in it, and also the guy that played Bilbo Baggins. They played opposite each other in that. That was great. Now the funny thing was, I watched the first season of Fargo, never saw the movie. But the funny thing was, I remember I bought it at Best Buy years later, and I haven't watched it until this recently after having my collection. I was saying to myself, because it happens sometimes, when Best Buy used to sell physical media, I used to get the steelbooks, and I still do, but that's where I got into it. And I remember Shout Factory had a steelbook for Fargo, and I was like, okay, I have to get this. And man, I just left it on my shelf, and people kept on telling me at work, you need to watch Fargo, it's so great. And I was like, okay. And then one day I was bored, and I was like, I forgot I owned it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna sit there and watch it. And I was like, wow, this was a good effing movie. Now I can see why Roger Deakins works with the Coens to this day, because I think that was one of the very first movies they worked together in the 90s was Fargo, and now they're inseparable. Roger Deakins, we even asked once their working relationship, and he said it's just something that's clicked. They worked together on the John Turturro movie, and then they did Fargo, and they worked together ever since for the most part. Very rare do you ever see a Coen Brothers film without Roger Deakins shooting it. Okay, it's very far in between.
Now, if there was a collab with another director, who would it be?
What do you mean?
Your dream collab.
Oh, collab. Yeah. Whew. James Cameron. But
I kind of figured we were going there.
Well, I would love to work with him, but he's also a very big perfectionist. He is someone that doesn't take any bullshit. He will call you out on it, and he is very meticulous. He will work you to your very extent. And there's someone that used to come to my dad's restaurant back in the day. He was a visual effects guy. And he was one of the very few people I met on this journey I went through. It was a hobby. And I remember when I first met him, one time I was talking to my dad, but working on a movie together, and he was sitting in the restaurant behind us. And my dad and I were sitting at the bar, and he overheard our conversation. He walked up to us, introduced himself, and that was my official first start. Besides Patrick, was this guy that he invited us to a film meeting in Tampa, and that was one of the very first gatherings I went to. My dad and I went. But at that time, he used to always come to the restaurant with his wife, and one day he told me a story that he had a friend who worked on Titanic for Digital Domain. And he asked the animator, he was like, how was your experience working on Titanic? And he was like, terrible. It was an awful experience. James Cameron, he said James Cameron rode my ass every day he could. But he did the best work he could ever do. Doing that. And I'm working on James Cameron, he did the best work he could ever put out. Because Cameron was he was very meticulous in what he wanted, and that made him a better artist than he is now.
Yeah. See, sometimes people think when you write on somebody so hard like that they're just trying to be mean to you. You know, sometimes they're just trying to push you to do the best that you can. You know, they're trying to actually push you to be better than you think you could ever be. And stuff like that's nice. Now, other than Cameron, let's say you could be an understudy for somebody. Tarantino? And would it be for film or the story or?
Tarantino's that one director where you want to listen to this talk, like Christopher Nolan.
Mm-hmm.
They know story. So Christopher Nolan used to teach school back in London back in the day. I knew someone on Facebook Twitter. I knew someone on Twitter that actually went to his class, and he told me it was like one of the best classes he ever went to when he was in school in London. And he told me that just sitting there with him, talking about cameras and stuff and all that, he said it was just so hands-on and so great. He said Christopher Nolan is a very wonderful guy, very nice guy, very informative, knows everything. You just got to make sure you take in what he teaches you. I was like, oh. But yeah, he's like someone between Tarantino and Nolan. Those are two I would actually love to work under as well. Nice.
Well, I appreciate your time, and make sure you guys come out here to Johnny's Italian restaurant and pizza. What else did you say? Calzones are here, really good.
Calzones here are really good. The pizza's really good.
The Italian food's really good. What else do you want? What more do you want to say?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's quality pizza, sandwiches. I mean, whatever you want, they have it. Pasta, casseroles.
Yeah. So we thank them for giving us the what is this? The bonus room.
This is a private dining room.
Private dining room.
Yeah. So like anyone wants to have a wedding ceremony here or have a meeting, like a big giant meeting, or someone wants to have a movie showing with the projector and all that, this is where they come. You just got to talk to the restaurant and they'll secure you the room with the deal and see how many people you have. I think at least like 20 people at least to put it together. So
we appreciate Johnny's Italian restaurant for allowing us to use this room for this. And now, where can we find you on social and to look for the future?
YouTube, movie guy 87, I believe it was, or something like that.
Okay.
I can't memorize my screen names, but I'm on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. I mostly use that, Facebook and YouTube.
All right, so we'll be sure to watch out for a future film from you. You said sometime this year?
As of right now, the idea is going to be to shoot it before June, if I can really get my ducks in a row. I'm still working on a script with my co-writer, and Patrick also helped me with the story a little bit. He's the one Patrick's the one that helped me put the story together. And as of right now, the story is about an alien baby, and it revolves around the military, and basically...
So 2026, we'll have a new Trevor movie.
Hopefully, things go well. Thankfully it's still January. God knows what goes from right now to then.
So I'll have all the links down below that I can find, and if you send me anything else, I'll add it to the links. Again, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. If you guys want to comment any questions, I'll refer them back over to Trevor, and then maybe he can answer them for you, or reply to me and I'll reply back to you.
And also, if my trivia is a little bit wrong or off, I'm sorry. Sometimes I can be a little bit off on certain details, so sorry if when it comes on movie nods, if anything is not in place fully.
Sometimes there's a lot to remember.
There is
especially when you're going around so far. So even I had some things that may or may not be right.
Yeah.
So again, thank you guys, and thank you guys on the 360
Pleasure to be
camera.
here. Hopefully we can do this again.
Yeah. Looking for the future.
Yeah.